Hello and welcome back to our countdown to Christmas. It's the 8th of December. Hope you're all doing well. So we're continuing on with our series, which we're going to be doing right up till Christmas Day, and it's basically what would you pick? And you're either Team Necrons or Team Space Marines. Now, spoiler alert, currently the Space Marines are winning 4 points to 3, so let's see if the Necrons can pull it back today. So we're going with the Necron Overlord and comparing him with the Primaris Captain from the Space Marine Codex. We're going to compare some of the basic topics. It's not too serious of a video, so don't take it too seriously, it's just a bit of fun. So let's kick it off with their points cost. So it's 95 points for the Overlord, whereas it's only 90 points for the Primaris Captain. Of course, this is before any upgrades are taken, so that's just their base cost. So let's begin the comparison with the stats. Now, as you can see here, the stats are very similar. Both of them hitting on 2s. The Overlord has a strength and toughness value of a 5, whereas the Primaris Captain has strength and toughness 4, but does have an additional wound and an additional attack to make up for it. And of course, Leadership 9 versus Leadership 10, that's just a Necron standard. Leadership 9 isn't too bad, and it's not really going to come into play anyway on a single model. All in all, I find this one very hard to separate. Yes, the toughness is huge, in particular for the Overlord being a toughness value of a 5, but having 6 wounds for the Space Marine as well as an additional attack, pretty huge as well, especially if you're going with a melee beat stick kind of character. So I'm going to sit on the fence with this one and give them both the point. You'll have to put down in the comments which one you'll go for in terms of the stats. Now, as for the abilities, both of them have got a 4+ invulnerable save, with the Overlord having the Face Shifter and the Captain having the Iron Halo save. But with the other abilities, you've got Living Metal to regain a lost wound, you've got the Command Protocols, Relentless March, which is an aura, to add 1 to the movement of core units within 6 inches of the Overlord. Then finally the main ability, which is the My Will Be Done ability. You select 1 single Dynasty core unit within 9 inches of the model, and they get a +1 to their hit rolls. Now, you can actually upgrade this with the Hand of the Pharaoh stratagem for 2 command points, so you can be using this twice instead of once in that phase, but it'll be on 2 completely different units. Now, as for the Primaris Captain, he's got the Angels of Death ability, so it's 4 abilities in 1, but the only abilities from the Angels of Death ability that are going to come into play are the Combat Doctrine to get the extra AP with your weapons, Shock Assault to get an additional attack, and potentially Bolter Discipline as well if he's taking any bolter weapons. Then he's got Rites of Battle Aura, which is quite similar to the My Will Be Done ability, except it is an aura as opposed to selecting 1 unit. Works on core units and it's only within 6 inches as opposed to 9 inches, and instead of a +1 to hit, they're just basically getting reroll hit rolls of a 1. So very similar, although I do think this is slightly worse than the My Will Be Done ability, because the core units have got to stay within that 6-inch aura at all times throughout the turn. So if they're shooting, they need to be within that aura, or if they're fighting, they also need to be within that aura. Whereas with the My Will Be Done ability, you effectively cast it on that core unit within 9 inches. Even if they go out of that 9-inch radius, they're still going to have the My Will Be Done ability on them. So for this one, I'm going to be giving the point to the Overlord. Very close one here, but the Overlord's going to take it. Now, as for resiliency, we've already mentioned the invuln save, so we don't need to go over that one again. But the Overlord's got the Living Metal ability, so he's going to regain that lost wound at the start of the turn. And the Primaris Captain has got access to a Relic Shield if he wants to take it, so it'll be a +1 to his armor save, giving him a 2+ armor save, and in addition, he'll have a 4+ Feel No Pain save against mortal wounds, which I think is pretty decent. But all in all, this one's a tie as well for me. That's only if you're taking the Relic Shield. Now, otherwise, if he wasn't taking the Relic Shield, I'd probably give it to the Overlord. But options are options. Now, as for synergy, there's lots of synergy to talk about here, so you have to bear with me on this one. Starting off with this Transhuman Physiology stratagem for your Primaris Captain, because he's got the Primaris keyword, so you can't wound him on less than a 4+ if he takes that. But in the Necron Codex with the Overlord, you can use the Resurrection Protocols, so if he does get destroyed on a roll of a 4+, he can get back up with D3 wounds remaining. So they've both got a stratagem to keep them up and running. Now, in terms of some synergy with units, they've both got a healing type of character, so you've got the Technomancer for the Necrons, and you've got the Apothecary that works with characters within the Space Marine Codex, although the Apothecary is slightly better because he can also give out a 6+ Feel No Pain save. Then you've got to look at all the chapters. There's tons of Marine chapters that are going to synergize very nicely with the Captain. We're not going to go through all of these. You can see right from the picture there's loads of chapters. And very similarly with the Overlord, he's got the option of all the dynasties and the custom dynasties. So as both of these models are quite DIY kind of models, they're going to synergize very well with your dynasties and your chapters. Now, going back to those units, if you were to take Primaris Captain, well, all the types of intercessors are going to synergize quite nicely, being able to re-roll hit rolls of a 1, so that's the assault intercessors, the heavy intercessors, and the standard ones. Then furthermore, there's loads of other core units within the Codex. You've got Blade Guard Veterans, you've got Aggressors, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Hellblasters, Devastators, Eradicators. There's tons and tons of core units within this Codex. The whole Codex is pretty much full of core units, so it's going to synergize pretty nicely. Then to further add to that synergy, you've got the Vox of Spiritum, which is a relic for Primaris models only. It's going to add 3 inches to the aura abilities to a maximum of 9 inches, so that's going to include his Rites of Battle aura. Then he's got a couple of Warlord traits that he could use. You've got the Storm of Fire aura to add a bit of AP when you make a wound roll of a 6+, or the Rites of War aura, which is going to help core units and character units within 6 inches to gain objective objectives secured, so that will include himself as well. So tons of synergy there. Now when you're talking about the Overlord, he's going to of course work with core units as well with the My Will Be Done ability. So you're talking about your Locust Heavy Destroyers, your standard Locust Destroyers, your Immortals, your Warriors, your Lich Guard. Anything that's sort of on foot or wants to stay in the back lines, he's going to be assisting because he's not that quick like with the Primaris Captain. Now if you wanted to go with some more quicker units or units that just wanted to get in there and have a fight, you can use the Veil of Darkness relic. So you can go with the Lich Guard again, but this time without the Swords and Shields, and go with the War Scythes, the Scorbet Destroyers, or the Wraiths, because the last two in particular are pretty quick. He can also boost his ability to add 3 inches to his My Will Be Done ability, which will take it up to 12 inches as opposed to 9, so he still has 3 inches more than the Primaris Captain if you're maximising there. And then finally that Resurrection Orb, which is going to be bringing back models, works better on a 20-man warrior blob because they can reroll 1s, but it also works pretty decent on 1 wound models. Your Flayed ones in particular are another good unit, but Lich Guard are also pretty good because they've only got 2 wounds. Not really good when you use them against multi-wound models such as your Scorbet Destroyers and your Locust Destroyers. This one is another really tight one. Part of me wants to favour the Overlord because of that Resurrection Orb at the end, but to be honest, there's so much core units within the Space Marine Codex, you can't really take it away from them, so I'm going to split this decision again and give them both the point. Now as for damage output, this is another split decision for me, and I'll explain why. So both of them have got access to some sort of power weapon. So the Overlord's got the Void Scythe, which is going to be strength 10, minus 4 AP, 3 damage, and it's going to be a -1 to hit. And the Primaris Captain has got the Power Fist, which will be strength times 2, which makes it strength 8 rather than strength 10, minus 3 AP, and the damage will be 2. So slightly stronger on the Void Scythe there. And he's probably slightly stronger in terms of the range capabilities as well with the Staff of Light options, or potentially the Voltaic Staff. Whereas the Primaris Captain has got all the Mastercrafted bolt rifle weapons, but they're all strength 4. And the AP and damage changes depending on which one you've taken. The only high strength weapon they've got at range is the Plasma Pistol, but you're not likely going to be taking that one. And unfortunately they've not got any access to the combi weapons because they're Primaris. However, the reason why I've tied this one is simply because the Overlord models are not really a beat stick kind of unit. They're more of a support unit with the Resurrection Orbs and the My Will Be Done ability and whatnot. They're not really something you go out charging with, because if you were, you may as well just take a command barge. Whereas the Primaris Captain, they can be buffed up to more of a beat stick kind of character, with warlord traits such as the Imperium Sword for example as well to boost them even further with the strength and attacks. So they've definitely got more of a threat when it comes to damage output. But because of the actual options for the Overlord, I'm going to split this decision. So all in all, this was probably one of the closest ones we've done so far. I've given the Overlord virtually every point here, and the Primaris Captain got almost all the points except for the ability section, which pretty much just came down to Living Metal and Relentless March, because they went toe to toe in virtually everything else. But this is really close, you can barely split them. In fact, let me know in the comments how you would have scored this one. This one is too close for me. But this is going to tie the overall score tally 4-4, so we'll have to see in the next video which one of these teams can pull away. So guys, that's the end of the video. Make sure you're liking and subscribing and all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.